This is Gary Smith of Ratty Smith Funeral Home. We're honored to be sponsoring the Veteran of the Month project here on Yay 106.5. All military veterans deserve our deepest respect, recognition, and admiration for the decision they made to serve, defend, and protect our country. It's an honor to be a part of sharing some of their stories.
Our Veteran of the Month for March is Jimmy Macon. Mr. Macon joined the United States Army in 1975 and served in the infantry. He participated in numerous operations from Grenada to Desert Storm before retiring in 1996 with the rank of First Sergeant. He now works as the Chief of Police for the town of Harpersville and is involved in the Joint Military Cadets of America, working with the youth in the area.
My basic training was at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. We called it Fort Lawson Wood, Missouri back then. I think they still do. And my advanced training was at Fort Benning, Georgia Infantry School. I served we had Grenada during my time, and Panama when we got Noriega, and I also did Desert Storm and Desert Shield. And missed Vietnam by a year. I would say the discipline, which I pretty much had a lot of from mom and dad, because growing up here in Alabama, if you did things back in my day, mom and dad took care of the issue, and stuff. But I would say that the military really brought that home to me by the standards that they had placed upon soldiers. You had to follow rules, policies, and procedures, and this type of thing, and how they expect you to act when you're in uniform as well as out of uniform, and especially when you was in a different country, because they wanted to make sure that you said, other words, you become an ambassador for America. That's what they wanted you to be. I would think the camaraderie between soldiers as well as sailors, because we work with a lot of soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. I think it was a tight family. I mean, we rag each other all the time about the different branches. We say the Marine ain't about nothing and say things about the Army. But when it actually comes down to it, that's just a joke we throw on each other. But when it comes down to it, we stand shoulder to shoulder as brothers, because we all say U.S. on it, regardless whether it's Marine, Army, or Air Force. So I would say that pretty much hit home with me, how close we were regardless of race. And stuff. Racism was alive when I went in the military, yes. But in the military, it wasn't tolerated. And that's one thing that really stuck strong with me for the rest of my time since I'm still living now. For the overseas assignment, I'll probably say Korea. I'll probably say that. And the reason being, I was at Camp Casey, of course, being an infantryman, we are the fighters for America. The one that kicks in the doors and go get the bad guy and all that stuff. Staring from here to that window right there at a North Korean. We are standing because they got that parallel 38 parallel line to run through, whatever the number is. But it runs there, they on one side and we on the other, and we just stand there staring at each other eye to eye, and stuff. And all it takes is just one wrong move and it can cause another war. I don't know how old you are. I'll say this here, I'll be 59 next Tuesday. And I remember my mom and dad used to always tell me when they were growing up how things would make the hair stand up on their back when it scared them. And I actually felt that at that point, my first time doing it. Looking at someone from a country that we still at war at, it really haven't been declared over yet, and stuff. It's still on the book as a war, conflict, whatever they want to call it. Knowing that if you just breathe wrong or scratch the wrong way, it can cause a gunfire, and then you're going to start a war. And it could end up being World War III or just a little conflict between two countries, and stuff. So that was a very scary moment. What I would tell them, forget the politics. Let the politician be politician. You be a soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine, whatever your job is. You follow orders and you stick to those orders unless you know those orders is illegal. And of course, if they're illegal, you have a right to dispute them and not do it. And take your chance at a court-martial or whatever the case may be. Because there is some legal orders sometimes, illegal orders are given out and you need to just ignore them. And I did that as a first sergeant a few times. And of course, commanders end up giving a leave because they didn't listen to the first sergeant. But that's behind me now. So I would tell the soldiers to stand strong, keep American values at heart, okay? And regardless of where we at, where it's here, you're stationed in America, you're stationed in Germany, or you're stationed in Korea or Afghanistan, be that ambassador for America. Let them know that America is there. We're there to protect, but at the same time, help them live their values and not take their values away from them, and stuff. So in other words, if you overseas or no matter what, live to the American value, but at the same time respect their values, because we can't expect them to come over here, and change their way of life. But while they're here, we expect them to follow our rules and things like that. And that's what I would tell soldiers and all the sailors and everyone else out there. When you're in their country, follow their rule, but at the same time, stand American value, because they have that way of life. We have our way of life, so we need to respect that, just like we ask them to respect ours. I would, if it was up to me, and I was not just being the president, but if it just being a police chief or retired first sergeant, if I had the authority, I would make it mandatory that every young man in this country serve a minimum of 2 years. I think by doing that, we'll have a different, how would you say, I forgot what generation X we in now, or Y, which one we in at this point. I believe strongly in my heart, and I will do this to the day I die, that if we made it mandatory that they serve a minimum of 2 years in one branch of the service, I think we'll have less problem on our street today. Okay, we'll have more respect for each other, what we are and we face it today. So to that young man and young woman that wants to serve the military, you have my heart, and I will do everything in my power to help them get in if they came to me and asked for it. But then, if you do decide to do it, you can't go wrong. And I believe what JFK said a long time ago, it's not what the country can do for you, it's what you can do for the country. And I am very proud of what I did for this country. And if I had to do it all over again, I would.
Congratulations to Jimmy Macon, our Veteran of the Month for March.
We'd also like to thank American Legion Post 45 for helping with the selection process. This is Gary Smith of Ratty Smith Funeral Home in Sylacauga.